few days ago, New York City declared their first day of 0 deaths. Zero, down from thousands a day. I'll get ahead of some of you. You wouldn't care if New York cured COVID, cancer, and psoriasis. My point, we are facing a deadly pandemic which will kill many of us. Even if you believe that your age or your geographical location or your, sadly, political views will save your life, the reality is that too many of you will become victims. There are hundreds of cases of people as young as 20 going to parties and becoming sick. The evil of this virus is that new information has come to light constantly and destroys the theories of last week. Or you may be asymptomatic and give the virus to a member of your family who is older or sick. Can you live with that? Or you might give it to someone you don't know. No matter what statistics you claim for running away from responsibility in this pandemic, it's a sad truth that no one knows what the truth is. The news is full of surprises every day. It's a virus, not a political movement. It wants to kill you. Here's my take. The concept of sacrificing lives for the sake of your convenience goes against every value we carry forward from our founding fathers. For those of you who want to believe there is nothing expected of you in this pandemic, I figure that New York is simply a thorn in your side and something you'd like to forget, along with things like World War II and rationing and people sacrificing. It reminds you that most Americans haven't done what they should have done, what they could have done, and what they still could do. We have come to a place where we don't even care about saving lives. America is no longer America. For you to claim that the virus is a hoax, consider the fact that other countries have their own death numbers. And that includes numbers from countries where they don't care about the United States and don't give a shit whether Donald Trump remains president. That is most of the world, by the way. As much as it horrifies me, I have heard things from my fellow countrymen that make my skin crawl. During the beginning of the New York pandemic, one woman told me that Andrew Cuomo was stealing her money to fix New York's problems because he was seeking federal money to save his state. I was shocked that someone would throw a fellow American under the bus. Ironically, now, other states have taken New York's place as epicenters. And it seems possible that this same woman is now in a place that is experiencing what New York did months ago and is feeling the same desperation they did back then. Perhaps at this point, she'd like to know exactly what Cuomo did with the money that he stole to save New York State, and she'd like a little bit of that knowledge. Now that the epicenter is transferred to Florida, I have to ask why people can ignore what New Yorkers have done and no one else seems willing to do. Whatever you think of Andrew Cuomo, he's a miracle worker compared to someone like DeSantis, who seems quite willing to let people die. Yes, it's true, our horrible recent numbers that have spiked are an indication that the disease is spreading now, no matter how many tests are done daily. And that isn't enough either. If I had cancer and someone had a cure, I'd jump at the chance to follow his lead. But there is more, and this will probably make you angry. Andrew Cuomo is not a god. Without the cooperation of the inhabitants of New York State, the successes never would have been possible. Remember, the successes of New York involve the only weapons we have in this fight: masks, social distancing, staying home. Even now, Cuomo is having to put out small forest fires. But New Yorkers have been through hell many times and back, and they understand what it's like to stand firm and protect each other. And I believe that's why Florida is in the shape it's in. Had DeSantis led strongly, many Floridians would have worn masks, social distance, and perhaps limited their activities. Had he shut down bars, etc., things would have been very different. In other words, if he wasn't simply a used car salesman, sociopath, and politician, we wouldn't have watched with our mouths open as the house burned and he spun a pile of shit in his daily briefings. Whatever he represents, politically or psychologically, he is a disaster, and I consider him a minor demon. To watch his people die and do nothing to improve something like your short-term approval ratings requires a special level of narcissism. Remember the mayor in Jaws? And so why can't you work to save American lives? Why would anyone resist saving people's lives? And more importantly, why would anyone take chances with their own lives? It's silly to assume that despite your age, you can be sure that you or a member of your family won't suffer if everyone doesn't follow medical guidelines. And why do you think you have no responsibility to other human beings to save their lives? Do you believe in God? I do. Do you believe in making the smallest insignificant effort to protect your fellow Americans? Will you be able to live with yourself if you don't? Being older, I have to wonder if, like me, you may regret things you did when you were younger. Now there's a war on. Man up. Thank you for listening.